Good evening and welcome to the Fantasy Drink. I'm Jared Quartermatch, and here I'm going to talk about a review of a new book I just finished. So, before we get to that, tonight's drink is Redbreast Single Pot Still Irish Whiskey. I got this from my local store during a taste testing, and that is always the best way to, you know, draw me into buying your products when you let me try it. So very nice, smooth Irish whiskey, and I was glad I got it. I'll have some of that tonight. But our main topic, The Severing Sun by Vaughn Roycroft. This is a debut novel by Vaughn, and very impressive, I had to say right off the bat. I liked this book a lot. I really got into it. I kind of flew through it. It kept me engaged the whole time. It was beautifully paced. I never felt bogged down at any point during this book, and I would love to recommend it right off the bat to everybody. But let's get into some specifics. Uh, so this book mainly focuses on two characters. We have Valdan and Ilan, and those are the main two characters that you get a point of view from. And it's a deep, rich character study of both of these characters. It's on this world that's kind of around late Roman times era type of setting, and it has the focus is on these kind of Goth or Germanic tribe like people, and these two characters come from two different tribes. Um, Alan is from like an Amazonian type of tribe, and Valden's more like the like the Gothic type tribe or Germanic type tribe. Um, and these characters are, like I said, the main focus. You really get into their heads. You really get into what they're thinking. You really learn about them. You see everything through their eyes. Um, and you get a strong impression of their tribal culture, their values, and that they hold. And so it's a great journey in that manner. Vaughn really pulls it off as far as these characters are concerned, and you get to know some other characters in it too. It's not that singular that it's just these two guys, these two folks. But there are some other viewpoints as well as you go throughout the novel, and then there's a nice um, little vignettes at the beginning of each chapter, if that's what they're called. I don't remember, but it's like the little story that's that's you getting a sense that somebody is telling the story, and so there's like a little bit of prophecy involved here. We'll get into that. Uh, there are various themes here hammered home by the writer, that are a lot of those themes are dealing with honor, glory, and legacy. And each of these themes are explored on a personal level and on a community level, like a tribal level. Sometimes these things can be at odds with each other. And so, they ask questions like, how do I be honorable with myself without betraying my own people, without betraying my family, my tribe? It's a major question, and the Vaughn, the writer, continually emphasizes that internal conflict of having to choose between self and family or self and tribe, and also the consequences of those choices. Vaughn really lays out in a very subtle and sometimes just amazing fashion. He The characters have there's a lot of different consequences to some of the choices they make, to the point where you get to know the characters so well that you're looking at these characters and you're like, oh, no, no, don't do that, don't do that, you're going to get in trouble. Um and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It's not a case of, the character's definitely going to make a bad decision and he's always trying to overcome that bad decision, or it's also these feel like real people who you would have real interaction with. And so you know what you don't know what they're going to do per se, but you kind of know where they're going to go based upon their past actions. And just like real people in real life, they can sometimes surprise you with the decisions, but it's always in character and it always makes sense what they're doing and why they're doing it, even if you don't agree or even if they suffer some consequences because of that. Um, so he has a really good handle on these characters and makes you really get to know them and like them. And so I thought that was just well done by Vaughn. Um, and like I said, this is set in an imaginary world that is a lot like Earth. It's a lot like Earth. The people they pray to the Norse pantheon of gods, like Freya, Wotan, and so on, and they have a very Earth-like society, I should say. Um, that is the world that we see right there. It's kind of a microcosm, I think, of his whole world based upon some of the hints he gave. I have a feeling we're going to see more of that world in future books, and I can't wait for that. So I want to see what he does with that. And as far as the gods go, the characters believe in these gods, but there's no obvious um, intercession by these gods. There's no obvious contact. Uh, so there are lots of mentions of prophecy and portents and signs that's all say, that these characters believe that these things are happening because of the gods. But whether there is actually magic or not, well, that's that's still up in the air as far as I'm concerned so far in this series. It could be that these characters, the tribes and the people here, just believe it's going to happen, and maybe they're just trying to fit their worldview into their gods and their prophecies, or not. Maybe there really is a prophecy that's going to work. I think that's partially up for us to read it to decide, as well as the characters. I'm leaning on the side of there being some actual prophecy that's going down here. But I think it was real subtle, and I think it was um, a real wonderful thing that Vaughn pulled off as far as what he's up to with this book and with series. He definitely engages the reader to be an active reader, to wonder about these things and to want to know more and to try to delve into it and pick it apart. So great job on his part doing that. And it's maybe a subtle manipulation on his part to get us to engage in that manner. um, and it's also kind of a break from other fantasy series that hit you on the head with the magic, boom, 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 and say, this is how the magic system works. Boom, here you go. Or even just things are blowing up because of magic, and you figure out how it works. But nothing like that in here. Uh, and that's a fresh divergence from the normal fantasy realms, but still just enough fantasy to keep us going and really want to delve into this world a lot more. Being a history buff myself, I dug this totally. I loved it. So I can't recommend enough The Severing Son, Book One in the Sundered Nation trilogy by Vaughn Roycroft. And I hope you go pick it up. It's a self-published debut novel, and so this is definitely worth it. Go out and get it. Awesome. And have a good night. Bottoms up.